All right, I fine-tuned this indicator that I did in the last video, and I made the code so that instead of high and low and open and close, I just made it close only. And it's just giving you a moving average in a histogram form. And it's my 5-period moving average system. And this is typically a trend system. It certainly is capable, under the right circumstances of momentum, to give you a simple moving average, by the way. You can make it 4 other types. You could mess around with all that, and you could actually just have you could have a 5-period moving average, 2 styles of that. So you could have 10 moving averages where you just have slight subtle differences, which you're just, to me, it looks like a the histogram is just easy to count how many bars, and this can make it maybe an 8-period moving average. But then, like which trade are you taking then? Here it's blue. You're in sell mode during blue, and or you break out into that blue on the way down. And you can look at it as a momentum system, but also the fact that we're taking out the lows that go way back into almost over a year now, that this is what really is going on. So last week I was talking about this abyss and why you can't really, unless you want to keep buying every 100 pips, you go into this hole. Okay, it's caving in. There was places to get to scalp it for 100 pips or even 200 pips. I think that as you watch the market smash down here in the tick chart today, if you watched it today, it is insane. Like, it just jerks down like this, and then it just goes crazy, because once it starts filling the stuff, it's been carving into it. Well, this is the original scalp here off of this lonely wick, giant engulfment back into here. It's a perfect trend trade. It's got about just that much momentum, but you can't say that for this trade. If you sold here, you obviously got burned. Like, sure, you made money, but if you didn't get out when you came into this, so I put the candles, I'll put the link to this indicator. I put big black range of the actual, so there's no open prices here. So we just see the lonely wick get smashed during a 2-day battle up here of ding, 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 ring my bell. And you also have the, structurally speaking, on daily, a bottom becomes a top. And that's kind of like, wow, that is just squeezing it out. Of course, who wouldn't sell if it went up here? For some type of at least making 20 pips. So this is a 20 pip grid on top of 100. So you're caving into this hole. You take this out. Holy shit. You should see the, and here's 9 o'clock in the morning. They're making new lows. And the stock's open. It kind of gives a little relief to it. And then it's just bye-bye. This is the weekly chart, by the way. But this same, that's what happened today. It's moving so furious, just like here. When it comes into this and it cuts into this, this is brutal. On that day, this is the weekly chart. On that day, that is nasty action. And right there is a clean run of 300 pips. And anybody that's getting in below this lonely wick and loading up, this is weekly, these kind of opportunities like this, how often does that come by? That not very often. Like, if you ran a trailing buy limit expecting to get filled, you're waiting for it to come into that. Now, that is a huge deal, this price. And here it's only worth 100 pip dead cat bounce into this structure, and then bye-bye. You could sell this, not always safely, but you could sell here, could sell here. I mean, this is a 5-period moving average, simple moving average. Exponential stuff, I don't know, it's kind of jerky. So Williams is using a simple moving average when he does his awesome oscillator. I think that's simple. Also, RSI is a simple moving average. So it's just done clean. So RSI with the simple moving average, well, it's simple. It's just that one dimension of math. I think you just keep adding exponentials, putting, I think, more emphasis on the latest price maybe. My favorite was linear weighted, so I could do a linear weighted version of this, and that might look different. Or the method, whatever the method is on that. I'm just using method 1. I think it's simple. And I messed with the colors a bit, and I messed with the width of the candles. So I was I'm probably not done with dicking around with it. I'd like to make it pretty dramatic, so when you zoom in, you see pure candle, just pure color. So it has a good look to it. For me, if I was going to, I'm taking a look at the momentum here. It's something to look at. In the end, it's going to be, you're in this hole, like really. So where we turn around at, and of course, if you're going to drill down onto the dailies, another reason why it looks good is because it's a weekly chart. So there's very few bad signals in here. Just 5-period moving average on the weekly chart makes sense though, because you really don't want to be in a 20 EMA on the weekly. Like, where's your fill? You probably get filled here based on coming back to the moving average. You get filled here on the weekly 20 EMA, and you're like, okay, I only waited all year for that. Last part of the year, last year. Kind of funny. The weekly chart though. In 1 year, the dollar is on fire because I guess I don't know, the Europeans something to, I don't know, the euro, the dollar is just, the euro here structurally coming all the way back to this on the daily. So as it's screaming past this, all this is like uncharted water, and it's a pretty harsh ride. I mean, if you close right here, oof, what if you, at the end of the week, were down here? Now, that would just be mind-blowing, but not so much. I'm sure people's minds are blown when it went like this, and then it pulled back, and then just kept going. They're like, Jesus Christ, like, what the hell? Look at this move. This thing takes out these treetops. Look at this fucker scream. 1, 2, 3, 4, 500 pips past that shit. Pull back 350 pips. I mean, once it cuts this point, Katie barred the door, and it's vicious. That is just, it doesn't even, the closing price doesn't even show how brutal it is. On the daily, it's a train wreck. I mean, anybody's shorting into that. But then where do you go along? Because here it's so choppy that even if you try to get on the train here, look at this, is a 200 pips of wick. I mean, you got to be kidding me. So screams above this, and people are like, what if it takes this out? So people start selling above that. Well, I guess if you sold here, your only winning ticket only break-even ticket is if you got filled here. Sell, 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 sell. Comes back, and you cash out everything in 1 month pullback. All right. Do you get back here on the long side? So if you're running drops, like right now, if you're running buy limits, saying, well, I'm just going to try to pick up a bounce, or are you looking to get on the short train? I think people are going to think about boarding the short train if, based on this kind of trading where you've got this blue cloud, you're waiting for it to come back to the cloud for some type of sell. But at some point, if this is going to be the trap where everybody's selling below here and everybody's up on 300 pips and they're just loving it, maybe they get another 100 pips out of it. And the momentum is so fierce in these situations that we're dropping like a rock. So you got to figure that's going to matter. What is the ability for this market to keep up this amount of droppage? So coming through the floor, try to zoom out here, capture it on the daily now. Looking way back, and Just brutal. And tonight might even go lower. Now it could always do that, even under normal circumstances. But when it starts to cut into these, I think it does matter that it's that there's this abyss. Now I know the guy over at the guy at Trader's Way that teaches doesn't think that this matters, but boy, once it cuts through this, takes this thing out. I mean, this really is the upper abyss, and anything below here is the lower. And of course, this too. Once you start to cave into that, I mean, inside of any one of these little scooped out areas. But now this is a 100 pip scoop out area. He's trying to make 100 pips here, but I mean, this is crazy. This is like so many pips into the abyss. You're cutting. Once you cut through here, you could almost say, well, you know what? Let's just get in here. That'd be a structure entry because momentum-wise, you probably would have bought here, or if you thought this was a top becoming a bottom, I guess you could get in there. Or you have this 20 EMA, you like this, and you're like, well, I just bought here and here. I don't even know what you're talking about. So it's a million. But what would matter is that if you're going to buy here with a 100 pip stop, yeah, you're looking to make 200, 300. If you let this ride, because you know you're going into this, you're like, well, I want you to cut into there, unless it's going to be a trap. It could be a trap here in this tank. So imagine you bought here, or you bought each one of these dips. So every time it cuts the lonely wick and you're trying to make the retracement, actually you did even better there. I wouldn't wait that long. This is a daily chart. So this is a month from here to here. 1 month engulfs into the thing, then you don't get on the train here, but you're willing to sell, or you're willing to buy anything below there and dump when it comes back to the floor. So right now you'd have to go long below here. I'm going to get buy, and you look for it to come back some way to make money. Or you're just going to keep on the sell train, and then, well, where's your target? Is it 20 pips away, or is it 500 pips away? Now, the swing traders and the fundamentalists would look at this chart and say, well, that's makes sense to me. But the scalpers are the people trying to make just 50 to 100 pips or 80 pips or 200 pips. I guess if you're in 8 to 12 hours, I suppose, some crazy, the news comes out. But then, of course, the way some people count pips, they count each trade is like, oh, I made 500 pips today. I'm like, how did you fucking do that? They're like, oh, yeah, each trade. I'm like, dude, really? Then I made a zillion. Okay, 1K's out there, or I lost a zillion pips. But yeah, so I'm looking at this daily chart, 4-hour chart, and I think this works good on the 1-hour chart, though. I noticed on the 1-hour chart, we get a nice crossover in Asia at this 5-period moving average. So yeah, I did visually test it. I didn't back test it, but I looked at it. Now, was working on was just make the candles fatter. And I can make this up to, I think, about 30 pixels, but I wanted to make it so this is actually 8 pips, I think, on this big candle. I could check. But what I was trying to do is make it so the very tail was kind of a bright color, but as you kind of skinnier, less emphasis. Trying to make it pretty. I'm trying to make like a snow cone look. So yeah, this is you gotta have something to do. A little bit of a so moving average crossed over here down and just slightly, but it isn't a sell. Kind of sell here, but then if you're going to trade it from the side trying to make 20 pips, daily chart, if you sell above here with a 20 pip stop, 40 pip stop, you'll survive it and you'll make your 100 coming back in one day into this floor, irregardless of this trend thing. So I wouldn't use this as all the trading, but you can see that it's crossed over. It's definitely down. Yeah, but like how much more down? So I'm buying tonight and just in the market. I'm just trading at the market in this account, so I might even blow it up because they're just trading at the market. So it's like the dumbest trading in the world. So it's the worst you could trade. So I bought this morning. I think I bought last night here. And I had 50 pip stop. So they just took me out. Like I put a 50 pip stop, but this is down 40 pips. We bounced 20. I didn't cash out because I put it, there's a swing trade. And so every day here, look at this little candle. I got to get bigger bars there. This should be a big bar there. But that's the problem. I got 2 bars on here. Let me just get rid of one. Yeah, that's what I didn't want to do. So, yeah, I was messing around. I want to have just big black bars because this is confusing. I want to see the... I'm going to screw it up. Yeah, so we take off this first bar, the underlying bar. I just want this big bar on top. Did I even delete it? No. Oh, it still looks weird. I don't know why it's got that bar on there. Oh, that might be... Oh, yeah, that's MetaTrader. So I just want I don't want the candles on there. So that is the open. So that's kind of confusing. I just want to have a bar and a line. So I only want a couple things to focus on because it's just too much. It really is. It's overwhelming. So the range is on top, and this is the daily chart. Then I could just think breakouts because open to close is stupid. It's like 2 moving averages. So I'm not a big fan of candles. Too much to think about. Let's clean that up. So we're just going to zoom out 1 level, and this give me the nice dense look to it. And then 1 more level, and that's about as far as I can zoom out. When I go past this, it just it's too much data. I like this look, and MetaTrader. If I went to a wider, like a 25 pixel, 26 pixel wide bar there on the indicator, then it looked real juicy to me. I like it when it looks juicy. Because I feel like it's maybe it's OCD, but I want it right up against the other one, like this mode. It just feels like it's a real breakout because it's such a big bar, see? So this is like my favorite view here is 1x out. You can see a little tail here. I can play with the color here. I try to get the colors so that I'm aware that that's a strong trend. It reveals this 5-period moving average trailing behind. Same thing with the uptrend. And this way I'll see that skinny and the color and the skinny, you know. Then I want to make it so it looks like this when you get to this mode. Big fat, but then I guess it won't look like this, pretty like this. So that's the preferred mode. About 8 pixels, I think, on this black bar. That's another reason why, so we do these templates, these algorithms, or what people are calling them. No, but your filter for the world, how you filter stuff, right? Like, oh, you're into that. Well, fuck, we can't hang out, you know. So that's another reason why people won't agree much on trading, because some guy said on my comment. Of course, I don't know if it ends up in my spam folder or people delete it, but it says, as I tried to respond to it, guy says, scaling in and scaling out. Well, that's just fucking retarded. And I'm like, well, it depends what you're doing. I mean, if you don't want the stress of being very precise about trading, and that's what I'm doing here with the market orders. I'm trying to be precise. It's just not working out. It's just no way to make money, and it's too hard. It's too hard to watch all these markets. You need a team of people to chase all this fucking erratic behavior down. I think scaling in, scaling out is going to be less money but less stress. See, here it sucks. This is the pound versus the I guess not bad. This is a 1 hour chart. So here I would zoom out to this level, and I can see Asia real easy. It's like, here we are. Okay, we're in a downtrend into Asia. Now it looks like a little run here. You should sell. This would be a sell. I mean, the robot would sell here. And then he gets burned. It goes ripping up. But if he waits for the price to come back into the cloud, or dip deeper, you would buy here, you'd buy here, you'd be long. This is an uptrend. It's screaming uptrend when that shows up, just like it's up. Yeah, don't really have the same on the downside, do I? So it's a real, and we see that one color show up, this one. So here it's right underneath, peeking out from price. Price is taking over, so I put the bar on top, so it takes over, it kind of chokes it off. These are two really strong moves. So you're waiting for it to come in here to buy. Ideally, it's coming into the 5 period to buy. That's really what it's. You're stuck with the 1 hour 5 period moving average system, which is probably the simplest. You don't have to wait for any bullshit like, oh, I'm waiting for a inverted hammer. You don't have to. So you just have bars, and you just have closing price and the system. Now here I would say it's contradictory because you see a little bit of an uptrend starting, but I guess these are your best trades is when it pokes through the cloud. Pokes through the cloud. I mean, that's a real sell. So deep pullbacks to that. There's a weak sell. It's a sell, but then you get burned. And then there's a nice buy in the 5 period simple moving average. Sell. But here, you know what? We don't know because the volatility always dries up. And here's a decent retracement, but then more down, the trend, this is a trend system because you really are going to be aware of the trend and you can get in on these trades, right? If you happen to be at your monitor, or you could have several screens up, and you don't want to scrutinize it too much. You just pull the trigger on a couple tickets here, not all your trading would consist of that. If you had buy limits down here, you're waiting to get filled, and you see, oh, well, I got buy limits here anyways in this little trap, and they're going to come down here, and they're going to fill me. But also, is this the beginning of a new downtrend? I'm like, well, I got buy limits down here, and I'll just wait, and I could buy more here even. So I could get filled on my limits still. We go up. Okay, here's the trend traders getting in on this. Trend traders are getting in here, but they get burned. Right? They think, oh, this thing's fucking going to the moon. No, well, because you're trapping above this, you still got to be aware of what's going on around you. You can't be just totally blind. So once you go above the lonely wick, the sellers come in, they make money back to this, then they sell this lonely wick, and they make about 25 pips here. They sell above here, and they make 50 pips, 40 pips, 40 pips here. But then here's the day where you have all this trend traders are getting chopped up that are on the half hour with this, it's choppy day. Another choppy day because once you go above here, you're just going bing, ding. It's like, so it could melt down, So the other approaches, which I find to be less stressful, is just to put buy limits in here and just go, okay, you know what? If it comes down here, and then I see that it's coming back to here, and I'm like, well, shit. Ideally, you would just keep putting buy limits underneath it, and this way the market just picks you up because it's proving you right about what you think is going to happen next. It's like you're either going to start the jump rope, you're going to stand there and start jumping, or you're walking into somebody else's jump rope on this one. The market's going up and down, and you have to get the rhythm down and say, well, if this tumbles down tonight, I mean, this is going to be a ripe for the pickings, I suppose, in some regard, where you could just rifle through. And if I'm looking to make 20 pips, I'm going to buy all down here and looking to make 20, 40 pips coming back and lay a trap there in limits. Or we just wait till U.S. markets open and maybe we are down here and you're banging around. So either way, putting a couple limit orders in and assessing it what's happening when it happens. So had you put in, when Asia came, you put in buy limits down here. You're like, let's see what happens. Well, that was worth about almost 50 pips off the middle of this. If you got in here, it was like 50 pips. coming into this hole, and this is another place to put sell limits. And I suppose you go to the 4-hour chart, and you're going to see that you're in some kind of uptrend here. But yeah, there's some kind of uptrend here, I suppose, if you wanted to, and they like force a trade. Oh, I want to be a buyer, so I'll just look for everything that says buy. So I have buy limits down here. That's going to be my way to go into tonight. Tomorrow's Wednesday, so Wednesday is going to be the big. And the year's coming to an end, so we're going to wrap it up here at the end of the year. So what's going to happen? See, crude oil's on my using my 5 period on the crude. So it would technically be in the sell mode here. You could just say, oh, you know what? I'm short because it's blue. Don't leave me alone. It does look like crude could take a tumble here. There'll be some type of the regime is getting crushed, and I think that you're going to see somebody walk in with a piece of legislation to pretty much go back to open the spigots. The pipelines will be reopened. So my fundamental view is that since my 5 period magical indicator says you should be short crude, they could just crush crude to pieces here. And of course, these bozos will take the they'll say they were responsible, but really what it'll be is people just going, you know what, we're just going to go private, and we're just going to go, we don't need your lease, we don't need your lease money, we don't need your okay, we're just going to come in and do it. And the big money will come in, and they'll just do what you typically do in these situations. You just rewrite the law. You go, oh really? If this is that, then that's this, and there you go. Now you figure it out. And of course, as long as you have a nice fix to it, it just goes around. Some of these things are just unsustainable. I still don't understand Bitcoin to save my life. Why anybody would want to store their money in the Bitcoins, but what, did this thing take a run or what? Look at this thing, monthly. Wouldn't want to be on the long train, so hope nobody bought at the tippy top there. It looks like it is in the uptrend according to my system. My systems say you should be long, or you'd be buying on this pullback. Actually, if you come back to this 5 period moving average, is going to be your best bet. Here it overshot the runway. Here's where you got burned using my magical 5 period simple. You bought this pullback because you go, this deeper pullback than this pullback, so I bought here, and it's like, you're like, this is going to be, can you imagine what people thought here? Dude, I got in here, you wouldn't believe it, and it's going up. And then they're like, dude, I remember seeing the YouTube channels talking about it here, and they were like, I was like, yeah, well, this day, I think it was like, well, right about here, I was like, kablamity blam, and then, oof. That is a spectacular run in the Bitcoins. I think it'd be safe to buy here for a bounce, but God, we could overshoot that. I think it just, I'm sure the dream of the bulls is it goes like this. The cloud keeps on clouding like this. That was a hell of a run. Pretty quick and dirty pullback, so kind of, this thing's really got out over its skis, ahead of itself, I think. I'm glad I'm not in it. Well, if I can babysit this, if I'm in it, I'm in it like $20 right now. I am in it for about $20, I think, left over in my account. That's it. I cannot even imagine. I don't know how people do it, honestly, but these kids are crazy. You know, they do any fucking trade. Look at the guppy coming out, pulling out of the woods here. The pound against the. So here my indicator called it dead on. Let's pull back into the 5 period before the gravy train to the north. I'll tell you, simple moving averages, can't beat them. I'm into simple. Here's a pullback. Buy. I don't know if I'd be buying above this. This looks like a big trap. Here's a sell. Kind of late, but trap short here, get burned. Try to pull that. It's kind of jagged market, isn't it? That's wicked. That's not a trendy market. Not in that time frame. It looks brutal. It doesn't really. Some of these indicators, the drawback is you put them on some. You have to go to the right. You have to go to the weekly chart here. Oh, it looks good on the weekly chart. Yeah, but here it looks like a sell. It turned blue on me, so I don't trust it no more. Gold's in a sell. Gee, I hate to say it, but I think commodities have had it. Gold's popped its cork. The 4 hour, at least. Says a buy on the daily, though. Bullish on the daily, but woof. I don't know, man. End of the year, people are going to liquidate, I think. I think they're going to get out everything they're in. They're going to start jumping ship. Heading for the hills. Cash out. Here's the way I used to have it set up. Includes the highs and lows. Or this is closing prices, but I have no hard top side, like $1 million. It's still going up, but this is to me climax mode here. This is the end of it for a while on the U.S. market. Kind of cliche. End of the year. Look at this thing screaming into a world beyond. It still makes no fucking sense. That's unsustainable. I don't even know what to make of that. Look at the NASDAQ. This is wrong. Now, the dollar's supposedly going to hell. Look at the fucking thing go up. So, dollars fine. 95 cents, dude. Newspapers, all the fucking drama. Oh, the dollar. Buy gold, the dollar. Fucking people. There's no fucking difference. Here's gold. Here's gold. Okay, it's up. It's been up here for fucking what? This shit, all these markets are stable. The one that's unstable is the NASDAQ. Look at this fucking thing. Are you nuts? Dollar's just sitting there. Everything else is losing its mind. Look at dollar to yen. Dollar's crushing the yen to pieces. This thing double bottom here into the 5 period cloud. Fucking rip. Still ripping a little bit. Look at that. I think the last price pulse. That big trap up here right now. Big trap. So this has had it. Dollar yen. That thing's cooked. The trend traders got in here on this bullshit 5 period trend. Now this looks great on the daily. Yeah, I would say on the weekly and daily, 5 period, weekly, daily. It looks amazing. Look at these cells on the weekly. So if you got these kind of patience, I don't know who does, but you'd be selling here. I mean, fucking nails it. Hell, so it's down. Buy. I mean, here, not so much, right? You bought here, it got destroyed. Buy. Not really a sell because we don't have a blue, but I guess in decision mode. Here's the only buy. So you didn't even have a chance to get on there. You go to daily. I suppose you could have this be your whole buys for the whole week and then just buy pullbacks on the daily, even if they're blue. That's typically how you do this stuff, and that's a 5-to-1 ratio, 5 days a week. For no nonsense people, this is the answer. I'm happy just to if this is like a 1 hour chart or 4 hour chart, I'll be like buying this and the market crushes in, get out, you're out in 4 hours or out in 8 hours, There's all these trades in both directions from that standpoint, whereas the trend traders really are waiting for the one direction entry point. Right, they would sell here, but they would hopefully they'd realize that once you get below here, everybody's going berserk over that price, and it rips back to here, and then it even attempts an engulfment. You're buying anything low, and certainly buying because it takes out this wick, which is like so extreme. Buy this. So if you did sell here, you would definitely want to think about getting out there. Sold here, there, and then otherwise, if you sell here and you don't get out here, it comes all the way back to here, and you're like, that's not good. Sell, trend trader selling, and then the deep end of the year buy. So is this going to be an end of the year, kind of like, well, we're kind of done. I don't ever think it's going to perfectly oscillate, because here's the end of the year. And then here comes COVID. You can't even believe it, right? You can't believe it. You can't believe it's been fucking almost 2 years with these fucking idiots. You can't believe it. So, yeah. Yeah, you just can't believe it. So you really the market really is going for the end here. End of the year. I can't know what's NASDAQ. Is it just going to start drifting down? It's not really going to be a market crash. I think we're just going to go actually sideways, maybe. I don't see it crashing, but wow, I don't know. I guess I don't have a belief in the unbelievable, but I guess we've never been here before, so I've never seen anything bid this high in my life. I mean, ever really. Same with the bitcoins, and the dollar seems to be stable. Gold's pretty, like, based on what it takes for that. And oil looks like there's going to be some giant pushback there. Just seems like it's such a ridiculous price, and people are picking out these prices and comparing it to, a year ago and stuff like that. And, that's really not a good comparison, because shit was locked down still. Price-wise, if you go back, you pick a sweet spot, because we've been here before at these prices. Let's look forward to the future. Psych on this. So I'll put the template, and you need the indicators too. The indicators in the template that makes up this closing cloud that I made up, histogram. So it's different than the other video, and it's going to be a different link because I rewrote the code. The other one actually has some flaws in it. If you look at the price it's using, it has some of them say open only, which I don't even know, and some say open, high, low, close. And that's the correct original way it was, because it's listed in that way. But the close just looks clean to me. There's no ambiguity. There's not all this data to put in there. So the high and low, to me, I'm going to just dedicate that to the black bars for a visual of the true range is depicted in just the bar. And that background cloud, you could put it on or not. So here I can imagine the cloud. And obviously we're in some kind of stupid ass uptrend. But how, are we just going to have to fall back because we're so overstretched? And it just overreached itself. I guess we're going to find out. Anyways, that's that.